TV, and that's how they got into playing. Was it Billie Jean? I thought that was pretty cool that he stood up for that.
Yeah, and he wasn't just all about himself and his own career. He was about lifting other people up.
Exactly.
Need more of that.
Yeah. So, do you have any tattoos?
No, and here's why. When I was a child, my great-grandmother had tattoos, and I was back in the day before many people had tattoos. And I just remember, by that time she was old, so her tattoos were saggy and gross. And so whenever I thought about getting a tattoo, I'm like, how is this going to look when I'm 80? Like, no, I don't want a saggy tattoo. So yeah, none for me.
Yeah. Would you allow your teenager to get a tattoo if he wanted one?
One thing I've learned is that they don't care what I have to say when they're teenagers. Once they're 18, it's their choice what they want to do.
And I think that a lot of us felt like we weren't seen, we weren't enough. So we go out in the world and we try to create this being, this ego that represents us to allow us to be seen and get like this false sense of love, if you will. And I think that obviously it starts at the home. And when you're able to be seen at home, you don't have a need to go out in the world to look for love, because you already have it. Not to mention you are love.
Roll me, Mac.
The impact of having a father in your life. I mean, there's so many parts of it some of us didn't know about, like when we were younger, how important it was to have that connection with the father, especially from a masculine standpoint, especially like if you're a little boy, and knowing and understanding what your purpose is, based on studies and just me learning this most recently for my own self. I believe it's a father's duty to show you how to manage your emotions, and in many ways, on both the man's side as well as the like for the little boy versus as well as the little girl, and validating a lot of those insecurities about oneself. I believe a father does that. A father gives you confidence in many ways, and so like to see a little boy grow up and not exactly sure exactly what he is, grow up and just try to do whatever it is that comes to mind, and getting involved in various things that deem to be manly or masculine, if you will, whether it be being a part of a team, on a sports team, whether it getting involved in a gang, if you will, of some sort, being a part of a club. And it's like you're constantly looking for that brotherhood, and when you don't have that father around to show you an effective way to go about becoming a man, you'd be surprised the path that you get on in various ways when you're like not able to deal with confrontation, if you will, and when we're not able to see the confrontation with a man, maybe like within a home from a healthy standpoint, you may you go to one or two extremes. You're either going to avoid confrontation altogether, or you're going to be very, very confrontational. And I believe I saw a lot of that, amongst the people that grew up with me, especially like in school individuals that constantly were getting into conflict. And those of us that were running from the conflict, you know what I'm saying? Like, some acting like straight bitches when it comes to certain things. And what I saw the difference when I would see a friend of mine who did have a close relationship with his father, when he would get into issues in school, he stood right there, he stood his ground and knew that he could, you know what I mean? Versus some of us that were doing their best either to be funny, to avoid conflict, or just make yourself very, very small to become, non-existent to avoid the conflict. But, you can look at kids today growing up, being older, and just constantly in disarray with their emotions. And chances are that they did not have someone to really ground them in a sense of what the masculine used in the proper form could do for a child, let alone a family. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you grow up in an effective, I would say, environment where the mother is operating in her feminine energy and using it to strengthen the kids, and then you have the father who's growing up with the masculine energy and able to give that as well. I believe that there's a higher outcome of like a success rate as far as a mental issue, not having so much mental issues and a lot of that stuff, you know what I mean? But I mean, we did the best we could. All of us did. We did the best we could, what we had, us as kids. We did the best we could based on what our parents provided. Our parents did the best what they could provide, and then based off of what their parents did to them. But like, being able to look at shit, from a different lens and be like, you know what, I might be actually doing better had I known to mind my emotions a hell of a lot better than what I've been doing. And and I think that affects a lot of us, where a lot of us didn't know how to deal with our emotions. We threw tantrums, especially from a man's standpoint, when you have a man that shows you how to manage your emotions and not so much respond emotionally to things, it allows a woman to stay in her feminine when you get into conflict with them. And because it's tough, man. It's tough when you didn't have it and you're used to not being heard, and you throw a tantrum, you want to get loud because you think that's your way of being heard, but it's really just making you look very immature. In one perspective, it's making you look very immature. But the ability to stand firm, be assertive, and like just say what's on your mind without being disrespectful is I believe there's some growth in that. And I believe a father, an effective father that operates in his masculine around his family, can give that to a kid, and a wife, and what have you. So when I think about like the impact of somebody being there and just showing that they're seen, when, like I said, my best friend I talk about all the time, T-Dot, when she told me about her therapist, Sharon, that all we really wanted to be is seen, heard, and loved. And that's essentially what parents do for one another. And especially like a father allowing a child to be seen, seen, heard, and loved, and just show a young boy how to groom him into the world that he's going to embark on. Because, you're already in it. So you understand the pressures and what it's going to be. So you can essentially prepare that young boy for the world and give them the tools that they need, the survival tools that they need in order to withstand the pressures that are to come. And the world itself, it's only going to have more shares of conflict and challenges to come into to our life. So when we think that the world is this happy-go-lucky place, and our parents are doing everything for us, and then when we get into the world, and then it's like, all right, just swim. How do we prepare them? You know what I mean? And we're all guilty of it. We want to give our kids everything that we didn't have, except for the emotional side, you know what I mean? Like the emotional tools needed to withstand this world that we live in. Because if we're not able to master our emotions, we will be conquered by them in so many ways. And you know what I'm saying? Like if we don't control our emotions, we'll use our emotions to drinking, we'll use our emotions to sex, we'll use our emotions to porn, we'll use our emotions to a vice that's going to make us temporarily feel the void that we're loved, seen, heard, you know what I'm saying? And I know that the one thing I do understand is that the father being there is definitely helpful in allowing a child to feel heard. They can give them confidence they never knew they had. And well, I mean, it's just, I'm grateful for the knowledge that I'm getting now to be able to give this to my kid whenever she needs it. You know what I'm saying? And just try to be better going forward for the shit that I didn't know when I was coming up. You know what I mean? Obviously being a very young father and not having all the knowledge that probably would have been beneficial for her. But I mean, she still turned out pretty well. But I mean, going forward, we can work on different things of being better. And I think that's just for any parent, you know what I'm saying? Like, you did the best you could with what you had. And don't be afraid to get new knowledge, to take on new knowledge, so that that kid can profit from that knowledge. You know what I'm saying? As long as you're here, like you're literally being an open book of wisdom, knowledge, a library, if you will, of just experiences and things that might be helpful to that child or people that you know around you. You know what I mean? But like having that kid, especially like, let's look at it from that of a little girl. Constantly out there trying to be validated by exterior things instead of seeing that interior strength that's in her, that a father that is involved, you know what I'm saying, can bring to a kid. And I think that a lot of us felt like we weren't seen, we weren't enough. So we go out in the world and we try to create this being, this ego that represents us, to allow us to be seen and get like this false sense of love, if you will. And I think that it you know, obviously it starts at the home. And when you're able to be seen at home, you don't have a need to go out in the world to look for love, because you already have it. Not to mention you are love. And I think, and I know for sure that the grounds for all of that comes from, you know, again, the household, the parenting, and how we go about loving one another and not feeling like we have to do something to be loved. And that's the, you know, some do that, you know, like you got like the alumni folks that have kids and like, yo, you're going to go to Michigan and you're going to be on the basketball team, or you're going to be a lawyer and what have you. Or like, it's almost like that child is feeling pressured that they have to do this in order to be loved. And, you know, and simply just being you is enough to be loved. Like for me, I don't need my kid to do anything for me to love her. And it's not a requirement for her to be the biggest whatever in order for me to show love to her. Just do my best to, like I said, to be there for her, be a listening ear, and sometimes a financial one. But I think that just comes with it, and that's providing that financial security as a man, as a masculine man, leading one's family, if you will. So, but we can definitely make a difference, I believe, like from a financial standpoint, for security, but also just leading and guidance and making decisions. I believe that being like I said, a man that leads, a man that operates in his masculine can bring so much to a family dynamic or a relationship, whatever you want to call it, whatever you're in. You know what I'm saying? Like if you got kids, I believe it brings a great impact and it allows people to feel safe. And I think that's one of the perks of being around, I want to say, men in their masculine, is that they allow you to feel safe enough, really just to be yourself. And so knowing that she doesn't have to operate, or she doesn't have to be tough, she doesn't have to put her guard up around you. And you know, you can appreciate that. You can appreciate seeing a person you know what I'm saying, allowed to just be themselves and not have to worry about anybody judging them or being so critical of them. So I believe that a father brings this energy, you know what I'm saying, and teaches people how to be loved, to be seen, to be heard, to give confidence, to show them that they can do things that they did not believe they could do before, and just continuously overcome every obstacle that comes their way, and being able to set healthy boundaries as well. And that's another thing I think that a family can do, is learn from like the boundaries that a father can set for productivity, success, however you want to look at it. Sometimes safety, and I really believe that we can make progress with such, and trying to do so. It's just like drawing attention to ourselves and realizing, oh, you know what, I didn't really lead with masculine energy because I didn't know how to. I didn't see it before, but going forward we can make said changes. So I mean, I just look forward to those changes.
Hey, what up, everybody? Yeah, do me a favor real quick. Just hit like, subscribe, and of course comment if you have anything, obviously.
What do you think of the concept of weird kids looking back? I love it. If I'm being honest, man, I love like seeing the weird kids, so to speak, meaning that they're not like everybody in the Matrix. Everybody in the Matrix is trying to do the same shit, and they're validated by everyone else's validation. You know what I'm saying? As to where weird kids don't give a fuck. They can just watch whatever the fuck they want to watch. They can listen to whoever they want to listen to. You know what I mean? Like the girls that kind of carry themselves like Dara from MTV, or like the Screeches, and they just do their own thing, and the ability to dress how they want to dress. They're not dressing to be like everybody else. They're able to be oneself. They have creativity. You know what I mean? There's something unique about them. You know what I mean? Like there were plenty of weird kids per se that were in school that I went to school with, and a lot of them are doing well for themselves. You know what I'm saying? But the beauty of it is that they were original. Is one thing that I can appreciate about that, is that the weird kids were definitely very original about their style. Granted, they might got picked on and whatnot, but no one was dressing like them, sometimes on purpose. But like being the weird kid, I think is the first step in you leaving, or not even entering the Matrix, and just being able to be yourself. And not having to worry about, oh man, y'all can wear that? Man, ain't nobody wearing that. Okay, cool. Be Andre 3000, you know what I'm saying? Be Lil Uzi Vert, or whoever else is, Prince, Michael, you know what I mean? Like having your own style, your own flavor. Big Boy, let's not leave him out, you know what I mean? Definitely had like his very own like unique style when it came to fashion, when it came to how they, you know what I'm saying, how they talk. The Dungeon Family talking however they want to talk. TLC, the way they used to talk, you know what I'm saying, amongst one another, and it just became cool looking back, you know what I'm saying, like during the times, like what the fuck is Andre wearing on his head? But now you look at like the Love Below, and you're like, man, that was a moment in time where we saw this guy take fashion and move it in such a way. So like the weird, to me, I was a weird kid, you know what I mean? Like I used to talk to myself in class in the 5th grade, and I don't know what I would talk about, just randomly sing songs, and I didn't realize I was singing it out loud. I was just so caught up in my own world, and then I would get laughed at, so part of me wanted to fit in so bad that I started to do things that everybody else did. And I'm looking back at it, and I really wish that I had the courage to stay you know what I'm saying, that way, you know, so that I can find out who I want it to be versus 20 years of like trying to fit in, but now being able to do whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying, I feel the need to do is, I think that's the win-win. I think everything happens for a reason. I was supposed to go through that so that I can see the difference. And like I have a friend of mine that I know, her daughter, you know, like when she was in high school was known as like the weird kid. And the first time that I met her, I smiled so hard because stay that way. I was like, be the weird kid, you know, be the one, got the wild, crazy hair, you know what I'm saying? Like, go your own way. And like, there's no right or wrong way of doing this thing. But having that perspective that you can do your own thing, I think is dope. I know it's dope, you know, at least for me. You know, I encourage those kids that don't do what everybody else does to continue to do that, as long as it's not causing harm to anybody, but like having your own style. You know what I mean? The kids that weren't so much into sports. You know, you might come from a sports family and you're not into sports. You might come from a family that's really into music and you don't fuck with the same music as everybody else. You might like folk song music. You might like, I don't know, Willow Smith, you know, Will Smith and Jada's daughter. You might like classical, like myself, you know what I'm saying? You might like anything, scores, you know what I'm saying, instrumentals, heavy, you know, coming from a black family, you might like heavy metal a lot, you know, fuck that. I love that shit. That's something that, you know, is for you. And anybody that really fuck with you is not gonna tear you down for that shit. You know what I mean? Like, true, we might make jokes and shit like that, but they're not going to disown you because you like this thing. You know what I mean? Unless they're giving you conditional love. Now, some of us do come from families that give conditional love. But to recognize the difference, no matter what you do, no matter what you decide to do for yourself, like the people that really fuck with you, like your tribe, your real tribe, is not going to, it's not gonna have an issue with you trying to find out who you are. You know what I mean? And that's the beauty of like growing up. I think that's the beauty of growing up, and the beauty of being in a healthy environment is that you're allowed to find out who you are versus becoming a cookie cutter type situation from the family. Like everybody doing the same shit, everybody eating the same shit, everybody watching the same shit, everybody wearing the same shit. But being able to be original, find your own way in this world, I think is going to give you more courage to do things. Because when you do what everybody else does, you tend to have a fear to do anything different than what everybody else is doing. So that might mean starting a business, but you might have great ideas, but you're not going to do it because nobody else in your tribe wants to build a business. They're fine with just the simple 9 to 5 or whatever it is that they're doing. But have that courage, man. Like really be able to be the spark. Be the spark that somebody needed. You know what I mean? Pac, when he was alive, he was like, I may not be the one to change the world, but I'm gonna be the spark to someone who will change the world. So just, you know what I'm saying, be the spark in somebody's life, being able to say like, you know what, it can be done. I like the way they did it. I want to do what they do. You know what I'm saying? Just like going out on your own and deciding that you're going to make a way. And no one has to see that vision but you. But as long as you believe in yourself, you're gonna be straight. And it'll be some tough times. It definitely will be some tough times. Sometimes you'll feel inadequate. You'll feel like you're not enough. You'll feel like an imposter, if you will, when you start receiving the benefits of you working on your craft and your passion. But don't pay attention to your thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Your thoughts are just thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Like just keep moving forward in what you got going on. And just see everything all the way through. So message to all the weird kids, continue to be weird, stay original, and love yourself unconditionally the way that I love you. Who taught you how to cook? Let's say, who taught me how to cook? My father indirectly taught me how to cook. He showed me that a man could cook, if anything, but he never sat me down and be like, hey man, this is what you got to do. And so I would say I taught myself how to cook directly from a reading standpoint. It started with just hamburger helper shit. Like I want to say my sister-in-law Ebony, she would always crack on me whenever I would, because all the three of us lived together when I was in the Air Force, and she would always get on me for making hamburger helper like all the fucking time. It was either hamburger helper or Alfredo. So, you know, I started with the basics of just hamburger helper, cheeseburger macaroni, because that's what I loved a lot growing up. And then like just definitely seafood Alfredo because of Olive Garden. I was mesmerized with the first time I had seafood Alfredo, and I was like, I want to learn how to make this shit. But I mean, I pretty much taught myself. I would see things and then I would run that shit in the ground. Like one time I went home and my cousin, he made jalapeno poppers, right, for the family. And I never had one before, and I was like, shit's pretty good. I wonder if I add maple sausage to this bitch. Bam, you know, maple sausage, jalapeno pops is the business. You feel me? And then I would just see, like I would talk to my grandma sometimes and just kind of pick her brain, especially about the stuff that she made growing up, like chicken and dumplings. She taught me about, what is it, Auntie Ann's or Miss Ann, Mama Ann, somebody's Ann's shit in the freezer section of like a store. I think I got it at Publix, and I tried to make my own dumplings and I succeeded. I just didn't realize how much that shit came with, you know what I mean? It was just so much, it was a lot. There's like a lot of damn dumplings in this pot. But like other things, liver, you know, I remember seeing my pops make liver, so I kind of taught myself how to make it. Baking fish for a long time, I avoided it because I didn't want to fuck it up. But I learned how to bake fish, like salmon. Salmon is one of my favorite things to make. Let's see, anything Italian is like really big. I like shells, like making stuffed shells, and yeah, majority stuffed shells. And then like Mexican, you know, like having Mexican nights and things like that, different tacos. I just recently discovered that they got egg white tortillas. That's the business, you know. So I use those now. Try to avoid the like the, you know, I'll say like the calories of flour tortillas or corn tortillas and shit like that. But I mean, who taught me how to cook was just me learning how to read, really just learning how to read directions, and then just being creative. Who inspired me to cook, the list goes on and on. Now that can be from friends in the Air Force, at cookouts, my father, you know, his best friend, my Uncle Keno, and then Aunt Jean, and like even I would say my brother, the fact that he, you know, how he cooks now, you know what I mean, like as an inspiration, as well as who else, man? Anybody that ever came around that actually cooked something, and I was like, oh, okay, how'd you do that? And then I just watch and study, you know what I'm saying? Like my best friend, his you know, his lady, you know what I mean? Like how she cooks and stuff like that, being inspired in her mom's and all of that. And just like I said, it just gives ideas like, okay, I wonder if I can pull this off, and then just, you know, being able to pull it off. So I would say I taught myself directly, and I would say that a handful of people indirectly taught me how to cook. What do you do when you feel stagnant in life? When I feel stagnant in life, many things happen. Many things happen, and it depends on where my mental health is at the time. Like when I feel stagnant and my thoughts are dark, I sit still. I don't move from the couch. I stay in my head, and I try to fix things that are not able to be fixed anymore. I stay in the past. I do everything that my inner child wants me to do versus what the adult me wants to do. And it's tough. It's tough at times, but I mean, you're not your thoughts, you're not your ego, and it's definitely like a form of narcissism that everything's about you. So when I feel stagnant and I feel like, you know, my narcissistic tendencies are starting to creep up, I have to remember to laugh at myself, you know, for those moments where I can get so much into my head that I feel like I'm not good enough for this. Like, what have you done? Like, how did you get here? You know what I mean? But it's too late now. You know what I mean? Burn the boats behind me. As Tony Robbins and Napoleon Hill puts it in Think and Grow Rich, you got to burn the boats behind you. And there is no going back. You've done too much to go back. So we're just going forward, and you just have to just keep moving forward. That's it. And that's what life is. Life is definitely about how much you can take and keep moving forward. Rocky. You know, it's like keep fucking moving forward. No matter what it is, it's gonna be scary at times. Sometimes people won't believe in you, but you have to believe in yourself. Sometimes you won't get the support that you might have had an expectation on, if you will. And you have to be there to support yourself, man. As people are more inclined to help you when you're pushing the car up the road than you just standing by it. So like, keep pushing yourself, like looking at yourself in the mirror, telling yourself how much that you love yourself unconditionally. Like, be the voice, be the friend that you are to everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Like, all the fears that come in and you just tearing yourself down, and trusting God and his universe that things are going to be okay. Like, you're not in this alone. Like, we really got our ancestors that's like surrounding us, you know what I mean, from an energy field standpoint, that are here to ensure that you get on the path meant for you, as long as you give your efforts to said universe. You know what I mean? I know that sounds kind of spiritual and spooky, but I dash you to try it. I dash you to try it, to put the effort into the universe, speak into the universe as far as what you want from it, what you want from life, and watch what happens for you. And sometimes you're gonna lose people. You're gonna lose people on the path of a purpose, and you have to be willing to let go. You have to be willing to let go of what's weighing you down, unfortunately. And it's going to take a lot. It's gonna take a lot. I won't lie to you, but all in all, you're gonna be okay. You are gonna be okay. You came in this world alone, and you're gonna leave this world alone, more than likely. You know what I mean? So it's like, be grateful when you do have support on certain things, but do not rely upon solely on that support, or you will miss out on because no one's gonna see your vision like you. And being stagnant on life is sometimes it's just perspective. We're looking at things from a negative perspective and trying to be a better person. And you know, I know for certain right now, I've had my fair share of moments where I'm just, I don't know what's next, and things aren't moved. It doesn't look like things are working, but it's that effort. It's like being in the gym. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to continue the same reps, your same rituals. Your rituals will take care of your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, the things you do, and you're rewarded in public for the things you do in private. So it's like continuously working on various routines that work for you. And no matter how boring it gets, just know that the effort is being done. That's keeping everything afloat to where it is. It's a standard, if you will. Like, having certain rituals and certain standards are going to keep you moving forward. When you stop doing the things that you used to do, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to show. You know, like Jim Rohn says, you know, 1 week of neglect can cost you a year of repair. And like, if you miss that one day at the gym when you could have made it just because you didn't feel like going, that might turn into 2 days, and that could turn into 3 days. It's like, I really don't want to go to work. Get the fuck up, man. We gotta go. We gotta do it. I don't really feel like listening to positive affirmations in the morning. I don't give a fuck. We gotta do it. You know, it's gonna help you on those days where you do feel stagnant, and you're able to get up and go and just take it to the max, even though you do not feel like it. You're going to do like it, but you're not going to feel like it. And that's the important thing to remember, is that the whole thing, especially for a man, it's not important how you feel. It's important what you do. And you don't get the luxury of not doing shit because you don't feel like it. It's about what you can do. And sometimes that shit is tough, man. The doing can be very challenging, and if we just wait around on it instead of just doing shit. But that's just my theory on said thing. But yeah, just staying with the purpose and remembering the purpose. If you know your purpose, man, if you know your why, you can endure anyhow. And I just stay with going, like I said, just moving forward. And even if it means, like, I might have sat on the couch for the hours that I'm awake. Let's say of those 16 hours, I stayed on the couch for 14, but 2 hours I did effort. That's the best I did that day. Next day, it might be 3 hours that I knocked it down. So it's 13 and 3. And then, 11 and 5, and just keep going until you find that courage again to be operating at, let's say, an 8 and 8, of just productivity outside of the other shit that you may have to do. And I want to say that when I'm stagnant in life, I just remember that a lot of the people that are successful in life also have had days where they didn't feel like doing shit, and that they had to keep doing it. I mean, there were days, I'm sure, that my parents didn't feel like going to work, but they had to do it because they had kids to support. There are days where, like a teacher didn't want to come to work. Something might have happened, might have gone through a divorce, and they have to come and teach multiple children and maintain their emotions as much as possible, and then come to guide us on the way. You know what I mean? Like looking at your I would say your guidance counselors, if you will, no pun intended, as human, and the things that they kept doing, the people at work, your supervisors, them facing, they got their wife is dealing with cancer, and they still find the courage to come to work. They got a husband that is on their deathbed, and they still come to work and still, try to take it to the max as much as possible, man. Like being inspired by people that do such, just trying to be in a better way of life, if you will. And I get inspired by shit like that. I get inspired by people who even though they don't feel like doing shit, just end up doing shit. So I guess essentially is like Jim Rohn says that success is doing what the losers won't do. You know what I mean? And so it's like finding that courage to, all right, let's get a gym regimen. Let's get a diet regimen. Let's get a reading regimen. Let's get a, meditation regimen. All the things that keep your mind sound, clear, so that you can make the best decision going forward with your life. And so that's how I see about dealing with a stagnant life, and just feeling what you feel, not ignoring it, but feeling those emotions that come up, because they will only it'll only eat at you if you deny them. So it's like accepting what you feel, and then getting out there, doing the best you can with what you have to get to the next checkpoint. I think that's really what it's all about. Don't try to build the whole wall in one day. Just put up one brick, and over time you will build that wall. So it's like continuously making an effort. Some days that effort may not be the same, and your best is going to take every day is going to take a different best from you, and you have to give what you have, and be around people. If indeed that you have to be around people that uplift you, encourage you, inspire you to continuously go after goals, and avoid the unhappy and the unlucky. And there's some people that are hell bent on seeing people being torn down, and we don't need that. We don't need that around, not for what we got planned as far as like the moves and shit that we're about to make. So For everybody that is probably dealing with some stagnant shit right now, just continue your rituals, continue your standards for productivity as much as possible, and give yourself credit for the things that you've done. Don't worry about what hasn't been done. Focus on the things that you have done, so that can keep you pushing and moving forward to the next checkpoint.
you.